Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here's your host, Dave Woodward.
Welcome back to Funnel Hacker Radio. I'm your host, Dave Woodward. You guys are in for an amazing experience today. I've had so many people begging me, saying, Dave, how do you guys create all these crazy videos for Funnel Hacker TV? And I'm like, you know what? We have this magician who actually pulls all this kind of stuff together and it just magically happens. And like, would someone please just pull the curtain back? We want to see how you guys are actually doing this. So with that, I want to bring on the show today, Mr. Kevin Anson. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Dave. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. This has been one of the things I've been trying to get you on for a while. And at the same time, I don't want to take you away from all the other projects you're working on. So this is a ton of fun for us. And I get asked all the time about the importance of video. Obviously, you were here when we had Gary Vaynerchuk. He's talking about video, all the stuff he's doing. Everyone seems to be walking around with video cameras, filming everything all day long. And I get asked all the time as far as how do you guys pull this all together and what's it really take? So with all that, I want to dive in and just kind of ask you a bunch of questions about what we're currently doing. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. So with this, the hard part for most people right now is they don't know how to get started. And, we've talked a lot about Facebook Live and you can start with that, but give people a little bit of background as far as how did you get started and what you're doing?
Yeah. So, I could take you guys, way back to the womb, but, pretty much I got started making videos when I was a kid. Back when the, VHS tapes were the way to do it in the 80s, and when I went to college, I realized that, video was the route that I wanted to take, even though it was still in its infancy and there wasn't a lot of people making videos. YouTube wasn't around yet. There was no way to make a video and even put it online. Actually, the internet was barely available back then. So, in college, I realized that I wanted to start editing stuff, and creating videos, creating content. And so, jumped in with iMovie. I just started making videos in college and, I kind of quickly realized that there might be something here. I have a knack for this. People are starting to notice the videos that I'm making. My videos are going in shows and college and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, this is, this could be something. I might have a knack for this, a skill. And then, I get out of college and I go on to, I work at a local news station. It wasn't like, the glorious, story that you'd be looking for where I'm making a bunch of money. I think I was making a whopping $9 an hour. I had to be there at 4 a.m. and work till noon. And so, I was editing tape to tape. This was back in beta tape. So this is before anyone was shooting anything that was digital, And I quickly, I completely just kind of gave up on my dream. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't make $9 an hour. I've got this girlfriend who I would like to ask to marry me one day. This just isn't going to work. I need to support her. And so I quit my job at the news station and I went on to become a loan officer. And it's just like, wah, wah. Are you kidding me? I went in there and I had to, they gave me a stack of leads every day and I had to go through the leads. I had to call people and be like, hey, do you guys interested in refinancing your house? Blah, blah, blah. And it was like the worst job. And I lasted there for 3 months. I hated every second of it. But every night I would go home and I was constantly trying to better my skills. I was learning Adobe After Effects. I was learning Final Cut Pro, which was the editing program at the time, just trying to better my skills because I knew one day it was going to take me somewhere.
But Kevin, not to cut you off here, but one of the things your video skills are great, but the part that I love most is your storytelling skills. Because if people don't understand what happens here, I want to give them some little backstory because I want to dive right into this. Yeah. And that is, people always say, well, gosh, how do you guys create this? Do you guys come up with a script? How do you get started? And let me just tell you how this typically works, everybody, is Russell's got a camera, I've got a camera, and Steven's got a camera. And we literally are just filming stuff, and then we upload it to Dropbox. And magically what happens is we get these crazy, crazy videos that Kevin puts together, bringing this whole story together. And so if you don't mind, let's talk about how do you actually create that story from – because you don't tell us what to do and you have no idea what's going to be in the Dropbox folder. So how do you create a winning script like that?
The way that I create a winning script, it started off and it's kind of evolved over time, but you guys Dropbox me a bunch of footage and I have to sift through it and figure out the moments in the story that are interesting. Because there's a lot of moments throughout your guys' day where I can see you guys making an effort to tell you're trying to tell a story and you're like, oh, we've got this really cool, we got a new vase today in the kitchen. And it's just like, oh, that's not very exciting. But you guys are trying super hard. And that's the thing I love about Dave, everyone, is, by the way, he goes around and he like records a bunch of stuff throughout the office, and he talks to me. He goes, hey, Kevin, you're probably not going to use this, but here it is anyways. They just poured this new concrete outside, and I don't know if it's going to be interesting, but just see if it works. And it's so funny. But anyways, so I go through and I sift through the footage and I break it up into two parts. Basically, there's teaser moments that I find interesting. So these are moments where there's something really funny going on, or there's something dramatic, things like quick little moments that I could save and put those at the beginning of the video to make it so that it entices the viewer to want to watch the rest of the video. Because if you see, like, even in the last episode that I did, there's a teaser where it's like, Melanie's about to tell us something crazy that happened to her in the parking lot. But I cut it off so you don't get to hear that moment. You have to wait till later on in the video, because that's the idea with people when when you're putting content online, is you want to get people to watch your entire video. So if you're teasing them in the beginning and teasing them with those moments and enticing them to get to watch the rest of the video, that's what you need to be doing. So that's pretty much how I break it up. I put the teaser moments in the beginning, and then I tell the story throughout, at the the rest of the story throughout the video. But I always cut out the dead moments. Like, that's really important too, is to cut out the dead moments in the story that just don't really help, or that maybe there's just moments where you guys are saying or and, or you're thinking or whatever. I cut those moments out, and so that's why you see a lot of jump cuts in the videos. And then actually one more important thing to mention in the beginning is what I do that's called the pattern interrupt, which Russell talks about a lot in his Expert Secrets book, is you have 3 to 5 seconds to get somebody's attention in the beginning. And I don't care what it is that you're doing, you've got to put something in the beginning of your video that's interesting. So a lot of people are scrolling these days through Facebook on their smartphone, wherever they're at, and they're going to scroll right past your video. And if they don't see anything interesting within the first 3 to 5 seconds, they're not going to stop to watch it. So that's what I do in the beginning of the Funnel Hacker TV episodes and the teasers that we put out, is I put something interesting in the beginning, whether it's like quick cuts of something or something like just crazy going on. Like maybe Russell's got some device on his head and he's shooting, shining lights at the camera, like just anything that's just awkward or weird. That's the pattern interrupt that I try to do to get people to stop and watch.
I love that. I think it's important, you guys, as you're thinking about creating your own videos, those pattern interrupts, it's like we do the same thing in copy. We do the same thing in storytelling. Is everyone's attention span is so short these days, you have to find some way of interrupting that pattern. And honestly, Kevin, one of the things that's been really fun for me, I think, what are we at, 55, 56 Funnel Hacker episodes right now?
55, yeah.
55. And it's been cool for me to see how you've progressed in basically coaching me, for sure. I'm sure, I don't know if you coach Stephen and Russell as much as you coach me as far as what to shoot. But I think the part that's really fun is to actually see how you've created a lot of crazy things, almost like a trailer for the video. And those teasers, I think, are real critical. And so I know a lot of people are going to go, well, Dave, there's no way I can afford to spend as much money and time as you guys are spending with Kevin and 3 people and all that kind of stuff. So let's kind of start from the beginning. How does a person get started creating their own videos?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about vlogs specifically, is that kind of what you're
let's
thinking?
talk about vlogs, and the other one I always hear about is Facebook Live. Those two.
Yeah, I think it's like Garrett White says, like, the first time you do something, you're gonna suck at it, and then you're gonna suck less and less and less the more times you do it. That's really what it's all about. Let me tell you where I think people where they're failing a lot when they're trying to start a vlog is they go out and they record some content. Maybe they're at a conference or a trade show and they just point their camera at a crowd of people and they just start shooting everything. And it's like the reason why that's not successful is because you're not telling a story. You're not giving people a reason to watch. Somebody might be watching a wide shot of a trade show or conference and go, well, what is this? Like, why are you showing me this? You need to narrate it. Like, you put the camera in front of your face, talk about what you're doing, say, hey, what's up, guys? We're going to go into this trade show right now. There's going to be some amazing companies here. We're going to go talk to some people, and go talk to some people. Start putting the camera and interview some people, or, telling a story. You have to narrate your vlogs and you have to narrate your videos so people know what they're watching. So there's a story developing. There always has to be a story developing. I
know for me, that was one of the things. And again, for those of you, I suck at this, and I'm trying to get better and better. And Kevin, again, I can't thank you enough. You have literally held my hand through a lot of this kind of stuff. But I know for for me, a lot of it was I was jumping in too quick where there wasn't enough of a backstory. And you're going, Dave, I have no idea, and there's no way I can create that. And so I think that narration part, again, I'm trying to get better at it myself. But when a person's narrating, the other thing I've seen people do is the narrations go too long. And that was one of the things you kind of coached me on, was saying, Dave, I can't find a moment because you're filming for like 10 minutes. So when you're looking at a vlog, again, just tell people what you've told me as far as what's best as far as length of time when you're shooting clips, get to the point, being concise, but at the same time provide enough content.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep the clip short. Otherwise, you're going to be cursing your own name later on in editing. So you want to keep them short. I mean, you want to just film those moments. Don't go on and on and on about a bunch of stuff. You want to keep the vlog or the video moving along. You want to show different shots. And I mean, and I actually coached Russell on this too in the beginning. I was like, okay, you're driving from home, and then you're waking up in the morning, and you're going to go to the airport. But as a viewer, we want to know, how did you get to the airport? So I would say, hey, Russell, would you mind next time you get in the car or you go somewhere, just stick the camera out the window and get some footage of you driving down the freeway, or get some footage of you like getting to the airport, even if it's like rolling your bag, along the concrete or along the asphalt, whatever it is. So that way you can supplement the narration that you have going on. You got to have what's called B-roll, which is also known as footage. So, get your narration, get your B-roll. That way you can kind of, put the whole story together later. Because if you're sitting there and you're pointing the camera at your face and you're talking about, I don't know, like maybe you're talking about ClickFunnels, but people want to see ClickFunnels. They want to visualize it. So you point the camera at the screen and show them what you're doing, so you can kind of edit those two things together.
I love that. So right now we are in the midst of our inner circle. You and I were talking about that before we pushed recording on this. And so I'm actually it'll be curious to see, I'm trying to create a story around this whole inner circle thing. And it's been interesting is I've been trying to keep that in the back of my mind as far as what would be some of the good B-roll, what would be some of the things that would matter. Because at the same time, for those of you guys who are listening, our inner circles are kind of boring when people are up there just talking the whole time. And so if you don't mind, help people understand when you're in a seminar, because you've coached me with this when I did podcast movement or other types of things, and I'm going to our 100K group tomorrow in Phoenix. And so what are some of the things that when you're trying to create that vlog that are captivating enough and yet at the same time doesn't waste a whole bunch of time just shooting? What types of things should people be trying to capture?
The thing that I would do if you're in a conference environment like that is, number one is, of course, get some shots of the speaker so you can kind of pull away some messaging and some messages from the person speaking up on stage. And the other thing is do some breakaways, like bring people out of the room and interview them super quick and ask them a couple questions like, hey, what are your number one takeaways from today's event? And then once you have that, so now you have your narration, go back into the room and get a bunch of different shots of the environment. Because where they go wrong is they'll just point the camera on a wide shot and they'll just get a whole wide shot of the room, and then they won't move. So in editing, all you have is one shot to work with now. You don't have a bunch of little like wide shot, medium shot, close-up shots of the room. So that way the viewer can really get a sense and a feeling that they were there. So what you want to do is go inside, like for inner circle, go in the room, get a bunch of close-ups of like people's reactions, their faces. Get some shots of like, I don't know, the switchboard in the back where Miles is at. Get some shots of his screen. Get some shots of some pencils and some notebooks and people on their laptops and like different things, just so that way you can break up the video so you have a variety of shots. And always think about everything in wide, medium, and close-up. So it's kind of like when you watch an episode of Seinfeld, the TV show. They always start off the show, there's a wide shot of the apartment complex that they're in before they go inside. So it kind of gives the viewer a sense of like, okay, this is a wide shot. It's an establishing shot. Same thing with the inner circle or the conference that they're at. Get a wide shot of the room. Then get a bunch of medium shots, like medium shots of as many things that you can think of, and then get a bunch of close-up shots. So that way when you're editing it together, it tells a nice story and it breaks it up nicely, and it's just more engaging and exciting to watch to the viewer.
I love that. And I think that whole idea as far as wide, middle, and short or close range has been something I'm trying to focus on as far as trying to improve my skills there as well. If you don't mind, I'd like to kind of jump into the idea as far as equipment. Obviously we're shooting here with, these aren't really expensive. I think our whole setups are, $500, $700, whatever, for the Sony cameras and the tripod and all this stuff. But a lot of people say, gosh, I don't have the money. Can I just do it with my smartphone? can you answer that? And if so, how do they do it? What apps can they use? Things like that.
Yeah, 100%. I know plenty of people who vlog straight on their iPhone or their Android. All you need, I mean, everyone's got a camera in their pocket nowadays. Or even if you have an iPad or a tablet or something, that's all you really need is to point the camera, have your smartphone, point at your face. There's a great app called Filmic Pro. And what's nice about it is that you can dial in all the settings before you start shooting. Because as you know, when you use the default camera app on your smartphone, it's sort of like it auto adjusts things like exposure, or some things are out of focus sometimes. So if you have a little bit more time to set up your shot, you can use Filmic Pro, which is a great app. You can lock in your exposure, you can lock in your focus, just to make sure everything just looks nice. But if you don't want to do that, totally fine. Use the default camera app on your smartphone and start shooting stuff and start putting it together. You can go as basic as just using iMovie. There's an app called iMovie on your iPhone. I don't know what the comparable one on an Android is, but I'm sure there's an editing app that you can get. And that's all you really need to do to start creating content, start editing things together. Because we all have the equipment at our disposal. We just think that, like you said, we think that we need this expensive camera and all these lights and all this audio gear. Like, you don't need that. I've literally duct taped my camera to a lamp before, like my my iPhone. Duct tape it to a lamp and stand there and talk. Like, it's all you need. A little bit of natural light coming in from the window. And you're on your way.
If you don't mind, kind of address the idea as far as framing and light, because I'm terrible with my lighting, and my bald head, basically, it drives me crazy. I'm always wearing a hat, and then I have terrible reflection on my face. I mean, people are always telling me my videos are terrible for that reason. But give people an idea as far as what types of things should they be paying attention to regarding light, and then the other thing as far as framing.
Yeah, I mean, you can, of course, go out and buy some fairly inexpensive lights on Amazon if that's what you want to do. But if you are on a budget, all you really need is, how they recommend shooting it during the day, so you have some natural light coming in. Just sit yourself next to a window so there's light shining in on your face, and set your camera up somewhere and hit record. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to put yourself up against a window. You don't want to put yourself to where you're shooting into a window, because it's going to be too bright and blown out, and it's going to make you look dark. But definitely you can sit somewhere close to a window without shooting into it. Another thing that you can do to make your shots look more engaging and to create depth between you and your background is shoot in a room that has more depth to it. I see a lot of people where they'll sit themselves up against a wall and they'll hit record, and it doesn't look exciting because it's just there's no depth to the shot. It doesn't separate you from the background, and it's just not an exciting shot to look at. And then of course, if you're doing stuff on camera where you're talking straight to the lens, just avoid cutting yourself off at the joints, which means like don't frame yourself so that way the top and the bottom of a frame cut yourself off at your elbows or your knees or the waist. So those are like major joints. So either tighten up or loosen up the shot to make sure that you're not cutting yourself off. I mean, I talk about this stuff in my course, but if you look at the difference between the two, you can it just feels awkward if you see someone who's cut off at the elbows or cut off at the knees. So those are some good things to think about. And also, the rule of thirds, if you're interviewing somebody and they're looking off camera, you want to make sure that you either frame them on the left or the right, and make sure that they're looking towards the white space or towards the open space when you're interviewing people. But you don't want to interview somebody and frame them right in the middle. You kind of want to move the frame over just a little bit so they're framed on the left or the right. So those are pretty much some basic things that you can do to get started. Yeah. I think I talked about it all.
I love that. I think one of the things I love about I love watching your Funnel Hacker TV episodes, and that is all the crazy voiceovers that you do. I don't know how you do that, but I get people ask all the time. That's got to cost like thousands and thousands of dollars. How do you do voiceovers on a budget?
What's funny is for Funnel Hacker TV, I literally will take out my iPhone and I will open my camera, my app, and I will hit record. I will record a video. And I'm not recording my face or anything. I'm holding my phone up to my mouth as if I'm like on a phone call. And I'll be like, like in the Lego episode where it's like, "What's up, Russell?" And I did that. I recorded it on my camera on my iPhone, and then I'll bring it into my editing program, and I'll kind of like either speed it up or slow it down a little bit, and that's all I needed. I mean, that's all you guys need to get started. You don't have to have some like crazy microphone and this crazy setup. That is seriously how I did. I bet you didn't know that either.
I didn't know that. We're paying you way too much if that's all you're doing. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but no. I mean, to expand on that, you guys can definitely like. It's like I tell people all the time. It's funny because with Russell's Marketing in Your Car podcast, he did like what, a few hundred episodes just into his iPhone. He opened up his sound recording app on his iPhone and he recorded it in his car driving down the road, and that's all it took. And then he would send it off to I think it's his brother, right? To his editor. Yeah. And then he would maybe, I don't know if he sweetened up the audio or not, but that's all it took. So he was recording his podcast straight on his iPhone. I mean, that's all you really need. If you want to go and buy a couple things online, you can do that. There's a really cool mic called the Shure. It's SHURE, the MV88. Plugs right into your iPhone, so it's like a little microphone extension for your iPhone if you want to do that. There's the Rode Smart Lob is a nice one where you can clip a microphone on your shirt, and that one works with Androids too. But I mean, you don't really need all that stuff. You can go pretty low budget on video production these days to get a video that's going to convert.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. One last question here real quick, and that is, let's talk about stock images and stock video and things. Where do you find them? How do you use them? How much can you use before it doesn't feel real? I mean, what are your secrets about using stock video and stock images?
You definitely want to be careful, and I'm not going to be the one to sit here and tell people that they should go out and do that, because then I'll be held responsible. But you definitely want to be careful with grabbing videos offline, as far as like going on YouTube and, grabbing footage and using it in your own stuff. But, if you want to go, the safest route is to just go on websites. Like there's a great website called videohive.net, like a beehive, videohive.net. They have some awesome stock footage. They also have a service on the same platform that's called photodune.net, and you can grab some awesome stock photos. I mean, they're super cheap. It's like, I want to say it's like $7 or $9 for a stock video, and then it's around the same for a stock photo. Or you can get like a subscription on Shutterstock.com if you have a big project that you're working on and you only need it for like a month. You could pay like $200. I think you get like 200 something stock images that you can use or that you can download off Shutterstock. But yeah, it's really easy to do. Actually, with sound effects, which is funny, for Funnel Hacker TV, I go on YouTube and I will download sound effects a lot because those things aren't really like, they're not copyrighted. Maybe it's a sound effect of like a construction zone, which I used for the Lego episode. And it's just like a bunch of hammering and jackhammers. I went on YouTube, I typed in, construction sound effects. And then I went to a video. There's a site called KeepVid, stands for video, keepvid.com. You enter in your link and then you can download your sound effect into like an MP3, and then you bring that in your editing program and you throw it down on your timeline and you're good to go. You have a sound effect. So, I mean, yeah, there's some super low budget ways that you can go about doing this.
Well, Kevin, I literally could continue talking for hours and hours. I'm fascinated about this stuff because I don't get it. I don't have the creativity that you have. I mean, honestly, I don't know. It literally is just magical to me what you produce. And because I know the footage that we're capturing and how it ends up is just like, literally, it's like this magician, just poof, there it is. And so I know people are going to have a million questions. How do they get a hold of you, and how do they get their questions answered? Where do they go?
Yeah, if you guys go to kevinanson.com/funnelhackerradio, I actually created a special cheat sheet for you guys because like I love working with everyone at ClickFunnels and I love fellow funnel hackers, so I made a special gift for you guys. It's about like video hacking your subscribers and your customers. So I talk about, basically video hacking, kind of like based on like what you guys do is funnel hacking. Same thing with video. You can go out there and you can find a video to model after to create your own, whether it's like, creating your own a script, basing it off someone else's script, creating a video, basing it off their video if it's one of your competitors or something. So yeah, kevinanson.com/funnelhackerradio. And then forget what I was going to say, but now I'm drawing a blank. But that's where you guys can find me. Oh, I know what it was. Video Hacks for Entrepreneurs. I have a Facebook group. Just search for Video Hacks for Entrepreneurs. I don't know what the facebook.com/link is, but yeah, you guys can find it if we search for it.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, any other parting words?
I don't think so. I'm super, super excited to be on this with you. And I really, really, really appreciate it. And I just love working with you guys. And like every time I get a new Dropbox of footage, I get super excited and I can't wait to dive in and see what I'm looking at. So I just love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, I'm excited. Now you gave me some other things I need to think about. I'm actually going to be flying out to Phoenix tomorrow, meeting with Robert Kiyosaki's group and our 100K group and with Chris Record and R.L. Adams and stuff. So I've now got to come up with some story to create for this trip tomorrow. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, so I'll tell you before you go on your trip, something to think about, like when you get in the car and you go down to the airport, like definitely don't leave the viewer hanging. Because if it's like you get it, you're saying I'm about to go on a plane, and the next thing you know, like we see you in Phoenix, and it's sort of like this. There's like a disconnection for the viewer. They're like, well, how did we get to Phoenix? Like I wanted to see the process. Like, what did the plane look like? Did he get on a plane? Did he grab some food? Did he get in a taxi? Did he take an Uber? Like the whole process. So you definitely want to make sure that you take the viewers along and tell the whole story.
I will try to do that. So the proof will be in the video that you create, whether or not I actually did it well. So
it will. If not, I'll just grab some stock footage and we'll make it work.
Kevin, thanks again. Love having you on. I can't wait to talk to you real soon.
All right, man. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.